Hi, I'm a different prostitute, autist Anon hired to read the following script. The first, that he would have personally preferred, due to me having a less appealing voice, had an overnight booking. Here is a quick summary of the previous video. On February the 5th, the Rubic team announced a limit orders feature to release on February the 25th. On the 25th, they announced they were deploying to development servers and it would be available to the public on the 26th. On the 26th at nearly midnight in Moscow, they announced a week's delay, citing wanting to test the feature more. On March the 5th, they released the feature. I tested it extensively and demonstrated it didn't work. For 5 days, the devs insisted it worked and that I and others were simply placing orders incorrectly. In this follow-up video, I will prove that it was not working at any point following release, that the devs knew this, that the orders were placed correctly and should have been filled, that they invented a platform fee to discourage testing while they tried to fix it, that they were unable to fix it before I made a post on 4chan detailing the exact transaction they would need to send to make it functional, that the bot does not take gas fees into account despite the devs saying it does, and that the arbitrage bot is unprofitable. To spend a month developing an arbitrage bot that functions across a single pair on a single exchange, something that would take most average programmers a day or two to build, to delay releasing the feature twice at the last minute for increased testing, knowingly release it in a completely broken state for it to remain unfixed for 5 days while you lie to your community that users are simply placing orders incorrectly, and for your arbitrage bot to lose money speaks volumes to the developer's competence, transparency, and honesty. My first claim is that the bot was broken and never worked. Shortly after I posted my previous video, I placed an order following every single possible condition that had been laid out by the devs. I offered to sell 0.25 Ether for 1 Rubic, removing the 0.15 Ether platform fee. This leaves just under 0.1 Ether for gas, more than enough for 2 transactions, especially as I placed the order at a time with low fees. The order still did not fill. A short while later, I noticed an address attempting to fill the order but failing. I looked into it and discovered that this was the address the devs were running their arbitrage bot off. Now that we have this address, we can look at its transaction history and see that since the alleged release on March the 5th until I made the transaction on March the 9th, every single time the bot had tried to fill an order, it had failed. This is an absolute proof the feature was not working and remained broken despite the devs' insistence users were just placing orders wrong. Shills may try to defend this, saying the devs just didn't know, that despite users collectively spending thousands testing it and telling them it wasn't working, the devs just never bothered to check. While this incredibly charitable interpretation still reflects awfully on the team, it's not the case. Luckily, we don't have to speculate if they were lying, as I also spent some time mapping out wallets owned by the developers. Only one is particularly relevant to this point, so on screen you can see known dev addresses on the left, all of which sent tokens to the addresses in the middle, which was the first address to interact with the addresses on the right. The addresses on the right is also the one that filled the proof transaction that devs linked as proof of the feature working. It is indisputably owned by the devs. This address on the right, labeled here as devs testing ARPBot, was placing orders on the Rubic order book smart contract around 1 p.m. on the 5th, the exact time limit orders were released. You can see me placing my first test orders here as well. This shows the devs placing orders before, during, and after the release time, and the arbitrage bot failing to fill them. The orders they were placing should have been instantly filled. These transactions are clearly them testing it and it not working. They knew it wasn't working the entire time, lied about it, and blamed users who were spending hundreds testing it for orders not filling. Once I found the address, I took a look at the errors thrown by the bot's interaction with the order book smart contract. The error had an incredibly simple fix. I posted the exact transaction they would need to do the fix this on 4chan at 4 a.m. on the 10th. This was forwarded to the devs at 8 a.m. on the 10th, and the bot address made the exact transaction an hour and a half later. Shortly after this, for the first time, the bot started filling orders. That evening, they finally released a video explaining how to create limit orders, not acknowledging they hadn't been working, but instead continuing to imply that this was a user error. At this point, they also said they had lowered the platform fee from 0.15 Ether to 0.01 Ether, a reduction of 15 times. The only reason this claimed platform fee was ever said to be 0.15 Ether was to provide an excuse for no orders being filled. There is no reason any arbitrage bot would require nearly 300 profit to execute. It makes zero sense. This video also offers further proof that the devs both knew the bot wasn't working and didn't know how to fix it. On March the 8th, a moderator in the Rubic Telegram said the devs were putting together a video explaining how to use limit orders. They said that they would try to release this 24 hours later on March the 9th. The video was released on March the 10th, with the following transaction being the one they used to demonstrate the orders working. They offered to sell 0.3 Ether for 1,799 Rubic. This order was actually placed on the 9th at 1 p.m. The reason that the video was delayed was because they couldn't figure out how to fix the bot to actually fill the order until the next day when my post was forwarded to them. While looking at this order, I noticed something odd. The bot lost money filling the dev's order, and there certainly wasn't any room for the claimed platform fee. It spent 0.282 Ether buying Rubic on Uniswap. The gas fees for that transaction were 0.012 Ether, and the gas fees to fill the order were 0.03 Ether. A total of 0.325 Ether spent to receive 0.3 Ether, a loss of 0.025 Ether. I wanted to test this thoroughly, so I placed a transaction selling 0.3 Ether for 200 Rubic, as this was very close to the market rate at the time. This transaction should have not filled according to the formula that the devs have posted many times. There was no opportunity to take the 0.01 Ether platform fee, and gas would cost more than the entire value of the order. The order filled. Not only did the platform fee never exist, but the arbitrage bot doesn't even take gas fees into account, despite the devs using this as an excuse for why orders weren't filling previously. Here you can see the bot trading 0.028 Ether for 200 Rubic, paying 0.026 Ether in gas. It then fills the order, paying 0.059 Ether in gas to get my 0.03 Ether. A total of 0.0115 Ether spent to receive 0.03 Ether for a net loss of 0.085 Ether, or $153 at the time. Just to be absolutely sure even the most deluded shills couldn't somehow claim this math is wrong, I decided to offer 0.0002 Ether for 1 Rubic. There's clearly no way you could ever fill this order without losing money due to gas, and especially not while scalping the 0.01 Ether from the trade. The bot filled the order twice, for a loss of over $100 each time. The entire limit order feature was a simple arbitrage bot that had to be delayed twice, that didn't work on release, that was only fixed after a post on 4chan told the devs what to do, and that losses over $100 each time it fills orders. An arbitrage bot, by definition, shouldn't lose money. The team is demonstrably incompetent and dishonest. If you think devs who are unable to make their arbitrage bot not hemorrhage money are going to build a working L2 or anonymizer, you're delusional. The only people who will try to defend this are shills who want to unload their bags on you. Don't let them.